Have you ever really thought about the ground beneath your feet? I mean, it's always moving, always spinning, even though we can't feel a thing. But what if it just stopped? Even for just 60 seconds. What do you think would actually happen?
Okay, let's really picture this. Our planet is doing its thing, spinning smoothly like it has for, billions of years. And then, bam, it just freezes. The actual ground, the continents, everything just slams on the brakes.
And here's the kicker. It's not stopping for good. This is just a pause, a really, really violent pause for only 1 minute. But trust me, 60 seconds would be more than enough to change our world forever.
So, let's break it down. What actually happens in that first, terrifying second? Well, to get a handle on the absolute chaos that's about to unfold, we've got to talk about a super simple rule of physics.
And that rule really boils down to this one number. Right now, as you're sitting there, if you're anywhere near the equator, you are hurtling through space at over 1,600 kilometers an hour. The only reason you don't feel it is because everything else, the air, the oceans, your house, is moving right along with you. But what happens when the planet suddenly hits the emergency brake?
The answer? Inertia. You probably remember this from science class. It's that simple idea that things that are moving, well, they want to keep moving. So when the planet itself stops, we don't. The atmosphere doesn't. The oceans definitely don't. Everything that isn't literally fused to the Earth's core just keeps right on going at that insane speed.
So here's a quick look at the timeline for this minute of absolute terror. It's a pretty packed schedule. First, the ground stops. A few seconds later, the winds hit. Then the oceans get involved. And just when you think it can't get any worse, the whole thing violently starts up again.
Okay, so in those first few seconds, two major things happen pretty much at the same time. The atmosphere and the oceans, they didn't get the memo that the planet stopped, so they just keep plowing ahead at full speed, turning into, well, basically planetary scale weapons.
Let's try to wrap our heads around how fast this wind is. We think of a hurricane with winds of, say, 300 kilometers an hour as a total monster, right? This wind, this planetary windstorm, would be more than 5 times faster. We're talking about a supersonic blast of air just scouring the entire globe.
The force would be just beyond anything we can imagine. It's not going to just knock buildings over. No, it would shred them into dust. Cities, forests, even the soil on mountainsides, basically anything not made of solid bedrock, would be instantly scoured clean off the surface of the planet. Just gone.
And while the air is busy doing that, guess what the water is doing? Exactly the same thing. All that inertia from the world's oceans gets unleashed at once, sending them surging forward in one single colossal wave.
And we're not talking about your standard tsunamis here. These are mega tsunamis. Waves so enormous they would wash over entire continents, traveling hundreds, maybe even thousands of kilometers inland. They wouldn't just change the coastline, they'd literally erase it before all that water comes sloshing back.
I know, this is all huge planetary scale stuff, and it's kind of hard to picture. So let's zoom in. What would this actually feel like for a person? For you or me caught right in the middle of it all?
All right, let's say you're standing outside. The moment the Earth stops, you keep going. You'd be launched eastward at over 1,000 kilometers an hour. It's not a fall, it's like being hit by a freight train. What if you're inside? Well, everything in the room with you, your desk, your chair, suddenly becomes a deadly projectile. And if you're unlucky enough to be in a plane, the difference in speed between the moving air and the now still ground would create such extreme wind shear that the aircraft would just be torn to pieces in the sky.
You know, in the middle of all this insane physical destruction, something really weird would happen up in the sky. For that 1 minute, time would sort of freeze. If it's daytime where you are, the sun would just hang there, motionless. If it's night, the stars would stop moving. It's this bizarre, eerie moment of stillness in the heavens, while absolute hell is breaking loose down on the surface.
So that minute is almost up. The planet's surface has been completely pulverized by wind and water. You might think the worst is over, but you'd be wrong. In a way, the most violent jolt is actually still to come.
So after 60 seconds of standing still, the Earth just lurches back into motion. It instantly slams the accelerator and gets back up to full speed. And this isn't a gentle startup. This restart is a whole separate disaster all on its own.
What this creates is a catastrophic whiplash effect. Think about it. All that debris, all that water, all that air is still flying east at 1,600 kilometers an hour. Suddenly, the ground beneath it rips back into motion. Everything gets violently yanked and slammed back toward the west. It's a second wave of destruction, just in the opposite direction.
And even when the spinning gets back to normal, the world we knew is gone. It's fundamentally broken. The stress on the tectonic plates would mean unbelievable earthquakes and volcanoes for centuries. The climate would be permanently wrecked, with an atmosphere choked with dust and steam. The surface of our planet would be completely unrecognizable. And to top it all off, the shock could even mess with our magnetic field, leaving us exposed to deadly radiation from the sun.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. It's pretty sobering when you think about it. We're all living our lives on this giant merry-go-round that, thankfully, never stops. What an experiment like this shows us is that the Earth's quiet, constant, silent spin, it's not just some minor detail of our world. It might just be the single most important force holding our entire world together.